Hey, welcome to Bears Banner. My name is Bernard Muhammad. Welcome to the pregame show of the Bears versus Carolina Panthers. Tonight on the broadcast, we have Plank, Keith Flournoy, Guy Moore. I think Jay said he got called into work. I'm not sure, but Jay might not make it because I think they end up calling him into work.
You gotta get that paper, baby.
And I think Quick had to work himself. How y'all doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. Until we heard the news.
All right. What news? Oh, Justin Fields not starting. Yeah, man. I was kind of concerned that he would start actually, Guy, because Thursday night games to me are the worst games. After you play Sunday, you have very little prep time. I want to say the only time the team actually have a legitimate practice is on Tuesday. I think Monday probably is film, Tuesday practice. Wednesday probably is the walkthrough, and they probably catching the plane out the day of the game, whichever way they do. But if you've been out 3 weeks, you need more than 1 day of prep time.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, from my personal perspective, it's probably better for Justin not to play in this game because then that gives them 10 days to be able to rest and to heal up and to get prepared for Detroit, which is a much more difficult opponent than what we're talking about with Carolina. Mm-hmm. And the other part of that is, let's think about this from a logistical standpoint. If Justin Fields can will the Bears to a win over Detroit, that's huge relative to what happens next year versus them just continuing to say we're going to get rid of them or what have you. So 6-1, half a dozen in other.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? And I know we on the Panthers game, but that Detroit game gonna be tough. Detroit has a good offensive line. Man, good defense. So hey, I'd rather him come in there full strength, a lot of practice, than to come in this game. You know, I mean, we'll talk about this game, but that Detroit game is gonna be one of the toughest opponents that they, other than KC, that they was gonna face so far.
Yeah, I like the Detroit game too because we got Sanborn back at middle linebacker. He's a lot more effective against the run, as well as we done built up the defensive line a little bit. So I'm already looking forward to 10 days down the road talking about Detroit. But you're right, we're on Carolina today. Let's talk about them.
Okay. Hey, so y'all want to cover anything from the game, the loss from Sunday before we move into this game? Anything that you saw since you maybe rewatching the game?
Yeah, you know, Tyson Bagent is a very good quarterback. You know, he can anticipate throws. He's good with being able to figure out the offense, to be able to read. What he still lacks is having a rifle for an arm. So at the end of the day, we used to see Jay Cutler make those same throws and the ball would just get there. That's why we can see when Justin Fields makes those throws and decides to, the ball is going to get there before the DBs had the opportunity to react. With Tyson Bagent, it gets there and it's just a little bit late or not as much oomph on it. So you can see not only are they picking it off, but they picking it off effortlessly as a DB. Sometimes, most of the times, it looks like you can't catch because the ball's coming in way faster than you prepare to actually try to catch it. So all those things actually come into factor. That's why, you know, a lot of DBs look like they not good at catching the ball because these quarterbacks got rifles, man. That's kind of what happens sometimes.
That is so true.
Plank, because if you look at two of those interceptions, they were the right read.
Yeah.
You know, two of them were the right read. It was just lack of arm strength.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, you can't really simulate that speed in practice, right? Because as hard as you want to go, people are still not going hard. I mean, you may have a player too. They're not going hard as they could go. So those type of throws through the middle, you throw into a spot. But if it's missing that zip, it hit the spot, but it's a step behind the spot because the receiver has gotten to that spot before the ball got there. And the defensive back was catching up to the receiver, but the ball actually landed in a spot where you was like almost like if you really didn't realize his arm strength, you were like, who's he throwing to? it was the right read. He just couldn't get it in the right spot because he doesn't have the zip to get it there.
Look at my knuckle.
We talking about he ended up costing us 4 turnovers in one game.
Yeah,
that's 3 interceptions and 1 fumble. It's interesting. Every time I read or I watch the show, they try to take a turnover or 2 away from him. I'm like, no, he had 4 turnovers that he was responsible for. So
right. Yeah, but it's like, what? But those guys, you could tell those receivers at a quarterback with zip, because at the end of their career, you look at their fingers, they all gnarly. Because you see them guys like your Terry Bradshaws, your Marinos, most of them guys like the Mark Dupers and the Lynn Swans and those guys, you look at their hands look like mazes because that zip, and they can fit them in those tight windows. Unfortunately, like I said, we'll get to it later, but that's kind of on the same vein of Justin Fields. It's just a different lane, completely different lane.
Yeah. So I think, and I guess the funny thing about that is, I still don't understand. I even hear it on mainstream radio, this argument about Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent. It's kind of comical to me because what it actually just showed me, what it showed me, minus the turnovers, is that Bagent is going to be a pretty good backup in this league.
Yeah.
And backups, that's what backups really, their role is to be able to step in the game and hopefully just to finish a game for you. Not necessarily to play the whole season. It's to finish a game for you if something happened, and if they have to play 1 more game or 2 more games. The backup is not, if he could play a whole game after game, they probably wouldn't be a backup.
Right. Right. That's true. That's like the basketball version of a Steve Kerr. You look at him, dude got 15-some plus years in the league. When he left the Bulls and went to San Antonio during that playoff, they was getting dog walked by 15 points. He sat on the bench the whole playoff, and at the end, they bring him in. He starts like a 30-6 run by himself. And guess what he does afterwards? Sits right back on the bench. Guys like that are a lot more valuable. Like a Tyson Bagent, all he needs to do is kind of work on some arm strength. They kind of do some stuff with him, work on his arm to get him serviceable, or get him an offensive coordinator to understand, hey, it's like Joe Montana. Joe Montana didn't have a great arm, but the reason why he looked brilliant is because you got guys out there, the offensive coordinators, that understood that. And they accentuated those plays and accentuated his talent. His talent was being accurate. It wasn't throwing long. And then it didn't hurt when you look up and say, oh, well, I've seen him have long plays. I'm like, no, that's called him, Jerry Rice, catching and getting yards after carries.
I'm going to give you
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna give you an example of somebody who playing right now, who's a very accurate quarterback, who at times I don't believe they have great arm strength. Tua throws a lot of stuff. If you know Tua stuff is always outside the numbers. So your arm strength is tested when you throw in the middle of the field. That's where your arm strength, especially if it's like skinny posts and stuff like that, right? Or something, a crossing route, or something real tight in the middle. That's when that ball has to get there with velocity.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna get picked. And I know it's like with Tua, all his stuff is always outside the numbers. And then when he do get something, it's probably something crossing underneath. But he's a very accurate quarterback. Plank, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the other thing we got to take into consideration is Joe Montana was absolutely ahead of his time. He knew every play, so he knew what his responsibility was, what everybody else's responsibility was. So you'd see him process a whole lot faster than anybody else could in the NFL at that time. Now, what happens is you've got the headset. So you got the guy got the microphone right in your headset as a quarterback, and he's telling you the same things that Joe Montana had to already remember.
Right.
So that was the difference between Joe Montana. As soon as he saw it, he was like, oh, I know what we on. We in the too high. This guy's going to be my third read. My third read is going to be open over in the flat. All I got to do is lead him by half a yard. You're like, wow, that was amazing. But, the other thing used to happen in some of these quarterbacks, they would call their own plays, so that would require them to have a better knowledge of what the systems were. So,
but ego, but contained ego is called confidence. Joe Montana knew he couldn't throw far, but I tell you what, anything outside of 30 yards, you couldn't do nothing with that dude. But he was smart enough to know, look, why should I throw it 50 yards when I could throw it 20 and Jerry Rice gonna give me the other 30? That's genius. When you subdue your passions to say, look, I don't have the strongest arm, but I'm gonna use the guys around me, and I'm gonna be a savant as far as knowing where everybody needs to go. That's why Joe Montana lasted so long, and he didn't have the greatest arm, but look at them doggone yards. Amazing.
He was just ahead of his time. You're right.
Way ahead of his time.
Yeah. So I think one of the positive, I saw a few positive, not one, but I saw a few positives in the game. I also saw a lot of negative. The Bears in general, period. It doesn't matter who's quarterback on this particular comment I'm going to make. The Bears turn the ball over too much, period. Both quarterbacks turn it over, period. Even when I look at Justin Fields' stats, they look good until I see one interception for every touchdown, right? If you got 11 touchdowns thrown, right, and you got 6 interceptions. Now, I know he has running touchdowns, but also the concern is the amount of fumbles that don't show up in that stat when most people show. He's probably lost the ball, I think, 9 times, but I think he's maybe somewhere around 6 to 9 times. But I think he's had about over 20 some fumbles, something like along that line, but most of them been recovered. I think like last year, I think he had about 36 fumbles, but all but 9 were recovered. That's too loose for the ball for both quarterbacks. Turnovers hurt your team because it sets you back and it gives the defense another turn. Other thing is pre-snap penalties. It makes you start off with 1st and 15, second 20 and stuff like that. The Bears had to clean up. I believe I heard a stat that they have more penalties than any team in the NFL. Easy. What so much for the hits principle?
Well, you know what? Another point about that, if you've got 2 entirely different quarterbacks, both playing for your team, and both of them are fumbling at that rate, that still points to coaching. They're not telling you what to look out for. They're not telling you, how to do, how to protect the ball. Something's going on because you got 2 different players that are having the same results relative to fumble. That don't make a whole lot of sense.
But you know what? I would do something. Y'all might laugh if I think about it. As long as Bajan and Fields are anywhere in Hallis Hall, anywhere around, their job is to carry a football with them all day long. And just have not just football players, but coaches, staff, or anybody come in there. You walk past them, try to punch the ball out. But every time you drop the ball, it's $100. And I will guarantee you, after a while, they're going to be like, okay, now they're going to be doing, first they're going to be doing the look-arounds. But after a while, they're going to get used to it. It's just something they got to keep doing because this fumble stuff is crazy, man.
Yeah, because, Bill Belichick, a few years ago, I can't remember the running back. He was having problems with fumbles, but I'm using the running back example. And Bill Belichick actually was, who was it?
Tiki Barber.
Okay. You talking about Tiki Barber, but I'm thinking about Bill Belichick, where he actually was giving him wet balls in practice. To tell like, hey, to really make it more uncomfortable, right? Versus I know Tiki Barber, it was more of him carrying the ball improperly, right? Yep. It's 3 points on how you're supposed to carry a football. But if you're a quarterback that are mobile, you have to go back to the same principles of running a ball. So that's one of the things that Justin wasn't known as a runner in college, but he's running the pros. So now he actually has to learn how to carry the ball as a running back once he started running. You can't have the ball like this. You can't have it like this. You got to have that ball point, 1, 2, 3 against your chest. And also when you're in the pocket, right, those swipes, a lot of times the ball, if you get knocked in your hand, the ball is either too low or it's too far away from your body. And that's why defensive players could just knock it right out of your hand,
That's true. That is true, man. But, it's just a lot of stuff. That's not even a fundamental thing. That's almost like waking up in the morning and tying your shoes when it comes to fumble. We're not talking about reading defenses. We're not talking about throwing goals or anything like that. That's fundamental. That's stuff like snapping a ball. Like you snap the ball, you're supposed to be able to get the ball. The center's supposed to be able to throw the ball to where as you get it, you got a comfort level. Fumbling, that's unacceptable, man.
It is. And you got to have accountability for fumbling the ball. And you're right, guy. It's just basic. It's basic stuff that you shouldn't even have to think about. I'm not saying a player won't fumble here and there, but once you start losing a ball in double digits year after year, that's now it is a problem. And to keep ignoring that, you can't ignore that because that set your team back. Because even if you recover a fumble, you probably recovering it at a loss,
right
behind the line of scrimmage. So that's why I was hearing some people were saying, "Hey, why are these guys blocking better?" I just want to lead to Sunday and then get into this game.
Right, Jenkins
for Tyson Bates, and then do you literally think that the offensive line, who are getting a check, who most likely like their teammate, Justin Fields seemed like a great guy, that they literally are going to block better for Tyson Bajan than Justin Fields? That makes zero sense. I've seen people saying that on Sunday game. Why are they blocking better for him? They're not blocking better for him.
Tevin Jenkins came back and they threw him on the right side next to right. And it's a whole different ball game. These, like you said, man, these dudes some of these linemen making a grip. You think these guys gonna sit up here and say, well, I don't like this dude, I'm not gonna block for him? Because guess what? I don't care who back there. You don't block for him, you don't have a job.
Yeah. Hey, this lady, matter of fact, I think it was Bridget. Shout out to Bridget. Bridget made a comment yesterday, and all of us know it, man. And that's why I said, and she said, but no, I don't know nothing about football. That's why sometimes I say, man, people, right, but sometimes I say people who know less about football actually make profound statements because they're not being emotional about the players, and they don't have an attachment to the players that distorting what they see. She said this on my post. She said it has to be harder blocking for somebody who keeps moving in the pocket versus a guy who's actually the lineman know exactly where they at. It's profound. We all know that. And it is. So that adds to why you get hit, right? Because if a guy in the pocket, I know he's 3, 4, 5 steps in the center. Even if he get a little pressure, he just step forward. I kind of know where he at. But if he moves over here, I blocked my guy there. I didn't know he was coming over here. He's over here. I didn't know he was. Oh, he kind of right here by me. Oh, I didn't know that. Right. So, that is a challenge. And Bridget, thanks for that comment, because I know I hadn't even said nothing like that all year.
That's a great comment, man. That's great. But she's just like the person that always win the office pool. The people that always win an office football the football pool is the one that know very little about football because they're emotionalists. We look up, Minnesota, they suck this year. They're not going to do this. And then the dudes end up, you putting them in, they're going to be a 1. And they end up being one of the only ones that win when you could have had them. And the person that don't know had them as a 15. And they win the pool. So.
Hey, so if we move to this Panthers game, this Panther game is interesting. They come in with 1 victory. They don't have a lot of stuff on that team, and Bryce Young is struggling. Now, ironically, I believe the one game they won was against Houston. And that's interesting because it's been a lot of conversation about how good CJ Stroud has been playing. And he has been playing good this year. But the only game they won was against Houston, against CJ Stroud. And so that makes it show that even if you have on any given Sunday, a team can win. It depends on the team that make the most mistakes, right? And who execute better.
Man.
Well, this is going to be an interesting game this week. I mean, tomorrow you got, as you just said, Carolina only has 1 win, but they also are playing without their number 1 defensive player, linebacker Brian Burns. He's a dog, but he's in a concussion protocol, so he won't be out there. So that gives us a bit of an advantage, or at least levels the field. I'm not saying Tyson Bajan is on the same level as whatever the name of their quarterback, Bryce Young. But it at least puts the Bears, it kind of smooths things out a little bit. Offense versus defense, and from a whole team perspective, we got a much better opportunity to win without Brian Burns showing up.
Hey, Marquise Haynes, the other linebackers, just put on injured reserve.
Man.
So, but you know what? But see, here's the problem they're in. You look at a team that's won one game. It's hard. It's easy for a lot of guys to say, "Yeah, we got more wins, but we can win this." But that's the team you got to look out for because they ain't got nothing to lose. They're gonna play loose. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's in our best interest to beat them because we got their draft choice.
Yeah.
So if we don't beat them, we get a lower draft choice. So some of the things we talked about doing from a future standpoint and drafting a number one quarterback or whatever, that goes out the window if they end up with a better record than we do.
The future is now.
Yeah. So you want to get them in a place where they leave this week and they lost another game, and they start looking at what is our best interest for our team, right? And I know they gave up that pick, but what you don't want to do as a team like them is to have your latter round picks being low because you won too many games, right? Because they gave us that, but they still would say if they're the last place team, if they haven't traded that second round, then they'll be drafting 33rd,
right?
And it's easy to package that 33rd with another pick to maybe draft like 22. For the team, right? Where you could get back in that round. But if you mess around and start winning games and now you 40 or something, now it's a little bit more difficult if you see somebody and you want to get back in that first round. So if we put that victory on them, it kind of helped them want to say, okay, let's start getting ready for next year, and just let all our young guys play, and they may just go fully into tank mode.
Yeah. But we all get a paycheck, man. And brothers need to show up. Guys need to show up and forget about this. Oh, they got this, that, and the third, man. It's a lot more to it. I mean, I think people look into the whole tanking situation, and it's so easy for you to look at draft picks and look at the future and all that other stuff. But y'all still got half a season left. Forget the one game you worried about. Y'all going there fumbling around, lose to them. Y'all go against some other teams that's going to be better than them. How do you think you're going to do against them?
Yeah, because the Vikings, I know that's a better team than Carolina. But if you think about it, we went into that Vikings game with the Vikings having a lot of players missing, right? They didn't have a Justin Jefferson and some other players, and it's kind of one of those ones I know I got tricked into believing. And if you look at that game, they actually had that game won. They had a late turnover. I think there was a scoop. It was a scoop fumble that was scored. Yeah.
And who fumbled?
Tyson Bagent.
4 picks for a fumble, 6. So yeah.
And you know what? And as I look at the matchups, we got them beating everything except penalties, sacks allowed, turnover margin, and passing defense. Their passing defense is pretty decent. They 5th in the league.
That sounds like the hits principle, don't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Total defense, they're 8th, and we're 19th.
Okay.
But that's in a whole, like I said, man, that's a whole lane itself. People need to understand that this is not just a business, but a lot of these guys know that it's a whole lot of dudes sitting out here on practice squads or somewhere staying in shape that would die to get a league minimum to get your spot, And if you play like it, you ain't got to worry about it. But you sit up here, you might be like Velus Jones. I made this joke and I said, you know what? Velus Jones is the only person that Kendall Vildor's woman wouldn't leave her for.
No, baby. So actually EQ is coming back.
Is he?
Yeah, so Velus Jones may be gone when EQ come back because then they'll be putting EQ back on the active roster.
I'm glad you said that. I need to go to Hallis Hall, man. I'm gonna help him pack his bags and unload his locker and get him out. I'll do it. I ain't even got to pay me. I'll even pay for my own gas.
Yeah, man. I'll help him. Sign up for a couple like career builders and
Indeed.com.
Yeah, so he could go and apply for regular employment. Because
well, he's 26 years old. It ain't like. He ain't supposed to be out in the regular workforce now anyway.
Well, let's look on the bright side. At least he has a degree.
Yeah.
But then he might not be trusted there. We give you a spreadsheet, you might fumble it. I'm just saying, man, that's crazy though.
So with the Bears offensive line, I want to address this as well. I do believe that what we've seen these 3 games is, from my opinion, an offensive line that's starting to gel, and an offensive line that have been maligned at points for whatever reason they were maligned at. But I believe you're seeing a unit that once they get Nate Davis back in and everybody else can stay healthy, their weakest link is going to be Lucas Patrick. Yeah, that's going to be their weakest link. But that's just going to be a line where you'll be able to run on the left side, the right side. You probably can't run nothing in the middle because Lucas Patrick is Patrick. But because we looked at these last 3 games, and I want to say Tyson Bagent was only sacked 4 times. But if I look at the statistics prior to that, Justin Fields was being sacked an average of 3.99 per game. That's the difference between 4 times, and I know people want to argue that. And I made a comment or a post on Facebook that the first number that you're going to look at is sacks. And I was kind of happy when I heard Chase Daniels say actually the same thing, that the first thing you want to do is see how his sack numbers look, because now you'll be able to tell if it's him with the sacks or if it's the offensive line.
Right.
And that becomes important on those sack numbers. And the reason I brought up sack numbers because of what you mentioned earlier. What are you on down and distance? How do you stay on schedule? See, once you start getting sacks, you gotta, or even just pressures, you have a lot of 3 and outs, right? Because your distance down and distance is too long, which affects how the defense plays. It starts trickling into the whole team. Because if you get sacks or you get pressure or you get throwaways because of pressure, you have to identify, like, why was that pressure? Was it because the line didn't block? Was it because someone didn't identify, or did the quarterback not identify the pressure? Or did the quarterback hold the ball too long? Right? It's difference of things. And both quarterbacks have to be concerned. They have to tell them about holding the ball too long. That first interception by Tyson Bagent on Sunday was a product of him holding the ball too long. He actually held the ball so long, he actually tried to force a throw because he just had too much time to throw.
Like 8 seconds or something?
Yeah, he just could have just like ran it or threw it away, because the defense at that point was kind of like giving them time to throw, right? They kind of all dropped in the flat, like, let's give them time to throw.
You know how effective an offensive line is? You can tell. Ask Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa was up there messing with Wright and Jenkins. He went to the other side for the rest of the game.
Right. Well, another key that's happening with the difference between Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent is Tyson Bagent is going with the check downs or the easy throws, and that's actually allowing him to keep ahead of the change. So they end up getting a 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2. Those are makeable down the distance versus a lot of times Justin Fields is looking for the bigger play, and that puts him in 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10. If you get a penalty, 3rd and 15. So that's still being behind the chains as opposed to giving yourself down in distance. That's a lot easier for you to make, and it makes a large difference over the sum of the entire game. So
great point, Plank. Because you know what, think about it like this. Like you always say, it's just basic math. Hey, anybody, when you do math, right? Most of us was taught you do the easy problems first, right? And you have more time to do the bigger problems. It's easier to get a first down if you go and take the check down for 3 yards versus wanting to get the 15-yard play and you get a incompletion and now you need 10 yards, right? So that does make a difference of take the easy play, take what the defense give you. So I would like to see even Tyson Bagent, because he's going to be the starter, to not get greedy. Take the plays the defense give you. If the defense give you this, long as it's positive yards, take that. Don't get caught up on people saying you don't have arm strength and all that. You don't have it. So it is what it is. Don't worry about having to ball.
The other part of that, too, staying ahead of the change, that actually allows us to be a running team. Because think about it. 2nd and 10, and you trying to hand the ball off, all the fans are going to be upset. We're like, oh, man, that's because the down and distance put us at a disadvantage. Now, if you 2nd and 4 and you get a ball to one of our running backs, these dudes are liable to break it on their own just by overpowering, just by utilizing that massive offensive line we got. And the running backs actually got some capability themselves. So a lot of times, anytime you hand it off to a running back in a down that's makeable, that just puts your team that much more ahead of the chains as well.
You heard it, you heard it here first, and I'm gonna say it. The Bears' offensive scheme is basically tailored more so for Bagent than it is for Justin Fields. One, if you look at what they're doing, the only problem that they have really was a problem with the sacks and all that other stuff and missing it. Well, one, Bagent's a rookie, and everything is like so much faster. For him to come in and do what he did on short notice is astounding. We got to give him. We understand the fumbles, we understand interceptions. He doesn't have that, but if I'm an OC and I know this dude can't throw the ball, I'm not having him throw long bombs. You know what I'm saying? Right. Have him run the ball. That's where the problem is. And I could go on the other side with Justin Fields, but all of this stuff that's going on with both of our quarterbacks right now has everything to do with one guy just not having a facility to throw, and another guy who has everything that you want, but they didn't mess his head up so bad. He doing this, thinking. So it's a lot more to it. Just like you were saying, Bernard put a post out today. He threw some film out today. And I know some people might have clowned him for it. He is 100% spot on. I mean, all you can go by is what you see. He's holding the ball. He's not stepping away that he should out the pocket and going in. And he's doing a lot of dancing and throwing. I mean, but you spot on with that, man.
Yeah. Hey, so let's roll this since you mentioned it, guy. I'm gonna bring it on the screen. The first one is a clip that I got of Tyson Bagent doing a play. And please, nobody, don't misunderstand it. Tyson Bagent is a backup. I'm not saying Tyson Bagent is better than Fields. You may hear me criticize Fields. You're gonna hear me criticize Tyson. Those who know me know I used to coach. So I'm coaching. In my mind, I'm coaching. Right. So I'm not gonna be like flowery and trying to because I like a guy. He ain't doing this and that. I'm trying to tell you the truth of what I see. Right. Okay, go ahead. I'm running plank. Thank you.
A really solid latch onto number 99. That's a good job right there with the right hand. Really latches on, does not let 99 break contact.
See right here, stop. See, okay, right there. Okay, now this is, to me, this looks so simple, and it is. This is the play where the Braxton Jones actually get beats on this play. But if if you just step up, you got a lot of time. But if you do something else, you could get sacked.
Yep.
He moved up. Let it run. Okay, we can let it run.
Fingers down. He wins this rep. I can show you guys.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so on that play, I want to say he ended up getting 15 yards. It don't really look like much, but the problem I have, do we have the one on Fields?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I brought this play up, and I didn't bring up a negative play because I didn't want people to think I'm bringing up negative plays with Fields. But I want to show you the difference of how a person responds in the pocket that makes a simple play appears to be a whole lot more difficult.
All right, there we go.
You ready? Okay. Oh, I got to add it. Okay. Let's go back.
All right, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Keeping the play alive.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's caught. Touchdown.
Yeah.
Put him on the edge. They go with the keeper action. But this is all Justin Fields. I mean, this play was not designed to work like
15th play of the drive. 3rd and goal. Fields keeping the play alive to the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown.
Well, they put him on the edge. They go with the keeper action. But this is all Justin Fields. I mean, this play was not designed to work like this.
Okay.
Here's the only other difference. You're right.
So what I was saying in that previous play on my post was Justin Fields has a bad habit of spinning around backwards in the pocket. right? Versus just stepping up. Now I know that play wasn't the same as the other play, but it's kind of a play where he's kind of like it's almost like he's trying to figure out should he run or not run, and he spins around and he's kind of like, dude, if you look at that play, he literally could have just ran that ball in and been done with that play, and he made that play it is great, man. We watching that play like, damn, that's amazing. It is amazing. But when he gets sacked or turn it over, it pisses you off because you say, guess what? The worst case that should have happened in that play was him throwing the ball away. That would have been the worst thing that should have happened. But it's a lot of bad stuff that could have happened in that play that from our eyes, we would cheer because it got a positive result. But as you come from a coach's point of view, you have to say, man, get that ball out of your hands faster, step up in the pocket. Since you are mobile, either just run it in, throw it away, but you can't be dancing around like that, man. These NFL players could have caught him from the other side, but that was the point that guy was talking about.
And here's what I was gonna say. Here's two differences with that. One, you had a rub guy for Bajan, and he got beat, and he was able to step up. Justin didn't have anybody on a straight blitz, so he worked out of osmosis. The problem is, if you take Justin Fields, and like I said, he's got Jerry Glanville-itis, and I'm gonna tell you something. What's the only difference between Michael Vick and as far as players, Michael Vick and Justin Fields? Justin Fields is taller. Justin Fields is right-handed. When he got to Atlanta, he came out with that same type of Justin Fields play like he played last year. He was like, no, don't do it. Oh, keep going. But guess what? He was like, he's pretty good at that. So let's pattern the offense around what he's strong with. You know why Justin Fields made that decision? Because like I said, his head is like this right now. If they let Justin Fields, if Getsy had enough mind's eye to say, you know what, that's his strength, let's work with that. You know what Justin Fields would have done that play when he went back and saw that guy? He would have ran it right in. But they tell him, you got to be a pocket guy. You got to be a pocket guy. If you wean him slowly into it and say, okay, this is what we want to work on, because any quarterback, if you have a deficiency, great offensive coordinators will take what you got and say it's great, and we'll dog it, we'll work it. But every summer you learn one thing and get better. They just droned into his head he's got to be a pocket guy. So a lot of times you see him stand up there, should I stay, should I go? Should I stay, should I go? And the problem with that is, and I'm going to give you a real quick example, Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, they put Richard Sherman his last 2 years as standard as a zone guy. And he gets 6 interceptions. He comes right to Vic Fangio with the 49ers, and Vic is like, okay, 6 interceptions in 2 years? Okay, we're going to do more soft zone and soft man type deals. And what happens to Richard Sherman in 4 years? He gets 200 tackles and 22 interceptions. Why is that? Because Vic Fangio was smart enough to know, okay, this dude ain't no man defender. He's a zone guy. Now, if Vic Fangio had done like, okay, we're going to make him a man guy, you wouldn't be hearing about how great Richard Sherman is. You know who he would be? He'd be just like Justin Fields. Just like with Bajan, you have to do them differently and take what you got. Just take what you got. But like I said, Bajan is more so suited for this type of offense because in his mind, he's been a pocket quarterback, and people keep talking about Justin. Oh, Justin, he did it. But if I had an offensive line that was a pro offensive line and I get 6-7 seconds, I stay in the pocket too.
Right. You know what? I want to take what George, what's up, Q, just posted about what he would do. And I'm actually going to flip it on what teams also been doing to Justin Fields. They're actually stacking the box.
Yep.
You know why? Because they don't believe he could throw from the pocket.
Yep.
So they're stacking the box outside, and they're just kind of like combing the pocket this way, right? And the objective is to not let him get outside of you, to make him stand there and throw. And then you have one guy that bounces outside as the spy, in case he wants to run. So as much as we say you don't want to be a pocket guy, of course he's not a pocket passer.
Right.
He does have to learn to pass in the pocket. He has to learn it. Think about it. This is the fear of some offensive coordinators. Greg Roman got fired.
Yep.
He got fired because they felt that he took Lamar as far as he could take Lamar. Running the offense for a running quarterback. But when now it was time to make Lamar a passing quarterback, they brought somebody else in.
And they weaned him slowly. You see how he did? They let him be once they took him as far as he could. They weaned him slowly into it, and you get to progress. Like I said, if you tell a guy who got wheels, and you tell him, you're going to be a pocket guy, and you're going to be this guy. And I'll give you a perfect example. I was talking. Getsy comes back to the Green Bay Packers in 2019 to 2021, 2022. What does he bring to Green Bay? The RPO. They start running 11% of the time one year, then 14 and 26%. And then it got to the place where Aaron Rodgers was doing pre-reads. It wasn't no zone. It was like, okay, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And it was this one montage that we're talking about where he goes up to the line. They know he's going to run an RPO. The Giants was telling what play he was running. And that's why you start seeing Aaron Rodgers do like this, because Aaron Rodgers was a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 guy that was going to get you 8 yards passing. You take a guy like, and I'm not saying it, but you take Getsy, who's dealt with a guy who's a quote-unquote pocket guy, and you try to change him into an RPO guy, you got disaster. What do you do when you take a guy who's more of an RPO guy and make him a pocket guy?
I'm just saying. Hey, what you got, Plank?
Yeah, I think the part of the problem, let's do a quick comparison of what Justin Fields is versus what Tyson Bagent is. Justin Fields, you don't teach 6'3", 225 pounds, a 4'4", 40. You can't teach that. So he's much more physically capable than what Tyson Bagent is. Tyson Bagent has an unjustifiable amount of confidence in himself.
Yes.
Because he got it from his dad or whatever. So if you heard him, his arm is not, he doesn't have a weak arm, but he has a D2 cannon. Yep. So if he's in Division 2, that arm looks like a cannon. If he's in the pros, that arm looks like a BB gun.
Yep.
So a lot of times he thinks he can make these throws because he thinks he's on par with Justin Fields or the other guys that are playing at that level, and he's really not. That doesn't mean he can't be a good quarterback, and it'll be a lot harder to stack the box against him because he goes through his reading and his processing so much more quickly. So you can use the best of both of them. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields needs to take a little bit away from what Tyson Bagent is doing as far as through his progressions, and Tyson Bagent needs to have the ability to, you can see that he's running and he's doing that okay. He's not doing bad on the RPO, so I actually like what he's bringing to the table, but he's not Justin Fields. So let's be clear on that.
Mark my word. That's a great point, because the thing I wanted to mention was George actually make a great point about stacking the line. But I will give him kudos on this. Like Plank said, he actually does process, and I'm actually was amazed on his the amount of times he can plays. This is kind of stuff that I know people's making fun of because he made 4 turnovers. Is no justification of 4 turnovers. Get me? I understand that, but I am going to access some things he could take from him that some people have said, what could he learn from him? You could check out the plays. I seen him can. He checked out of plays. I was amazed the amount of time he checked out of plays. And a couple of times, man, what I was amazed that it looked like he checked out of a run play, put his guy in motion for a run play. That it actually looked like he was checking out of a run to go to a pass, but he actually still ran the ball because he put the guy in motion that made you think he was trying to figure out what the zone coverage was, but he actually still ran the ball. So he canned the play because he probably saw something on the line, but he wanted to make them think that they was going to pass, and he ran. So that's stuff that, man, on that part, he's kind of on that. So I think some of the deceptive things that he could take into this game that he could do to kind of highlight where he may not have arm strength on some situation. But when we say arm strength, don't get it wrong. He could throw the ball 20, 30 yards. The problem is going to be those out routes, and it's going to be stuff deep in the middle of the field. No, he could throw the stuff like the Cole Kmet throw. That was about 25. He faded to the left, rolled out to the left, and threw the ball 20. It was at least 30 yards to Cole Kmet in the end zone, so he got the ball there.
You know what I like about Bajan, though? What I really like, I got to give this man respect. He plays like he's supposed to be there. You say, oh, that was a great play. He was like, oh, it's just another play. And I'm going to tell you, that part of him is something that you cannot teach. And I will guarantee you within the next 4 or 5 years, if he's not with the Bears, he's going to be starting somewhere. And he's going to be pretty doggone good, too.
So Dwayne brought up go ahead,
a quick second to say thank you to all of our subscribers. Thanks for your comments and your commentary, Dwayne. We own that. We're gonna actually get back to what we need to do to win. George, I appreciate the comments. Of course, Dre, Big Bro Q, and Kelly. Don't feel like you don't know what's going on with football, because we all here to learn different things, and a lot of times we end up seeing things based on people that don't watch football all the time, saying, wait a minute, did that make sense? And, we'll actually look at that and say, you know what, that was a very good point. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're letting us know you're here. So we look forward to interacting with people on the podcast as well.
It's not where you're from, it's where you're at.
If you're watching on Facebook, hit the subscribe button. Not on Facebook, on YouTube. On Facebook, join the Bears Banner Facebook page. And Dwayne mentioned about running the ball against them. I'm going to say you keep riding Dante Foreman right now. You stick with the hot hands. You ride him as much as you can. Now, I'm going to say something about Johnson right now, and I like LaShawn. What's that? LaShawn? Roshan Johnson. Dude, you're dancing too much. Stop that dancing. He's dancing in the backfield a little bit too much, and they're kind of losing that momentum, because what they getting into that rhythm with Foreman is he's hitting the hole so fast that line is getting up to the second level, taking out linebackers and safeties, and because they're expecting Foreman to come through there. Now, when you get back there and you starting to dance, right? They like, oh, he ain't came through the hole yet, and they look right, and now you got 3 yards where it was actually 7. So Roshan just got to work that part out, right? Because that's just a little something probably coming from college to the pros.
Yeah.
So you just got to
protocol too.
And he's got strength. He's got strength and speed. And this dancing, you can eliminate the speed.
Yeah. So I think the Bears, to win this game, the Bears need to not turn the ball over, take care of the ball, cut back on the penalties. Run the ball. Don't put your quarterback in situations that he's an inexperienced rookie, and he's a caretaker right now. He's a caretaker until your quarterback comes back. Understand that. He's not auditioning to replace Justin Fields. Somebody need to make that clear to Gessie. He's not auditioning Gessie to be the quarterback. He's caretaking until the quarterback comes back. So understand that. And I thought last week he was acting like Bajan was the quarterback auditioning to beat our Fields to try to prove his offense worked.
Hold on.
Right.
No, that ain't your job. Your job is to win games and make sure your quarterback does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, your job is to be a good backup and execute the offense, which for the most part he's done. But, one of the things that I got a problem with Bajan too is he comes up with just as many, if not more, of the turnovers than what Justin Fields has. So, when they start saying, well, he got the better knowledge and the execution of the offense, don't look like it. You didn't gave up fumbles for touchdowns and picks at the end of the game. And, he's ended at least 3 games with interceptions. So he's got to do a much better job, and he's taking accountability for it. What else is there to do for a rookie? But if he wants to be a viable backup in this league, he needs to learn the difference between coming out there and trying to win versus trying to manage the game. First game, he managed the game against the Raiders. The other games, he was listening to all of the stuff that Chris Collinsworth and all these other guys were talking about, trying to anoint this kid to the second coming, and that's not what he is. That's not what he's ever going to be. His arm is not going to be a cannon, ever.
Right. So hey, what we have to do defensively to win this game? What y'all see?
I think Dwayne's right. We gotta we have a formula. Stop the run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The second we start getting down and saying, hey, we want to, come out and pass 70% of the chance, that's putting us in a bad position. The more we run, that takes advantage of those brutes that we got that are on the offensive line. If you want to see some really good offensive line play, look at Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright on these slow motion. They are killing people.
Yeah.
I mean, they get into the second level. They doing everything that we need to do. And from a defensive standpoint, stop the run. I said before, I kind of like it. The Jack Sanborn is that middle linebacker. It's weird. Some people just play better at a different position. I'm not saying he's going to be in Hall of Fame or nothing like that. But when you put him at middle linebacker, that's something special. So you're seeing a difference between him and Tremont Edmonds. I like Sanborn a lot better in that position. So I think we got a decent chance at getting this win.
And that goes exactly what you said. I'm sorry. Go ahead, D.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think defensively, like I agree to everything you're saying. And I would really like to see the Bears make every effort to get at the Bryce Young. Even though Bryce Young is a young quarterback and he's kind of struggling, Bryce Young is an accurate quarterback, man. He's small and all that. But if you didn't sit back there and let him have all day, he's going to feel like he's comfortable like he was in college. So I want you to make Montell Sweat's life easier. Don't sit back there and not let him run stunts or different stuff, because this is the matter of fact, if you think about it, this is why the Bears actually beat Washington. Washington actually sat there and only rushed 4 men the whole time, where you saw in all the previous week teams actually stacked the box. And the Bears had did this through the first 3 or 4 games where they just believed their front four could get there, and I'm not sure why they thought that until they start bringing people.
No idea.
Yeah, no problem. But you know what? Do what you can to help him get pressure that he needs. Don't just stop all of a sudden now bringing other people. You could bring other people that you got him, and maybe he gets home faster. Whatever it takes, it doesn't matter. But that's a big man. That's a big dude, man. What's that dude, like 6'5", 6'6"? He's
6'6", 260.
He's a grown A man.
He's about a 4'5".
Yeah,
that's one of the things a lot of people don't realize. He plays the run and the pass equally well. So,
but just like we talk about Tyson Bagent, and I say Tyson Bagent is kind of, his game is built for this offense. Jack Sanborn's play is built for the defense at middle linebacker. He's not a fast guy, but what you have to look at too, it's not even just about the north-south, it's east-west, because they talked about Dick Buckers. Dick Buckers was slow as all get-go. He's one of the fastest linebackers in history, east-west. Why? He's a middle linebacker, and they accentuated what he does. Jack Sanborn is not going to be a guy that's going to win a 40-yard dash, but you put him in the middle, dude is a tackling machine. And he's not like a tackling machine where you look at the stats like, oh, well, he had 15 tackles and only had 5 solos. If he got 15 tackles, about 11 of them jokers solos, and he's getting faster. But the defense, like you said, they go ahead and let Jack do his thing. You get out there, as far as the offense is concerned, George Foreman said it best. Everybody got a plan until they get hit. Do that Ironhead Hayward thing. Run the ball. Them defensive guys love tackling, but they don't love getting hit. You got a big guy like that Foreman, keep hitting them dudes. After a while, you start seeing them get more yaks. But I actually, believe it or not, if they just run it, and he's able to get some traction, I think the Bears got a real good shot.
2 for 2.
Oh, boy.
2 for 2. Hey, let's do 2 for 2 before we get our predictions for the game. Anybody got their 2 for 2?
I forgot who's playing this week.
So my 2 for 2 for those who are new to this show is your top 2 teams for the week and your bottom 2 teams for the week, right? It depends on how your schedule is. It could go up and down. My bottom 2 teams this week is the Panthers and the Bears. Ironically, they're playing each other, so they're playing the bowl of the battle. Bad bowl, whatever. My top 2 teams are I'm gonna go this week with the Eagles, and man, San Francisco kind of chewing the downward right now. I'm gonna say the Ravens again. I'm gonna go the Eagles and the Ravens as the top two teams. What you got, guy?
Top two are Eagles and the Jaguars. Bottom two are the Bears and Carolina.
Okay, you got the Jaguars, huh? Okay.
Top two, I'm gonna go with the Eagles and Cincinnati. They starting to get it figured out. And Cool and Joe Cool is something else. Bottom two has got to be the Bears and the Panthers. Another difference between Tyson Bagent versus Justin Fields is the difference between Batman and Bruce Wayne. Justin Fields is Batman. Tyson Bagent needs to be Bruce Wayne. There's nothing wrong with that. Bruce Wayne is a genius.
And a billionaire.
Bachelor. He got money. He know how to do stuff. Be that. You ain't got to be Batman, man. It's okay to be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. So game of the week.
Oh,
I'm looking at this, man.
Yes.
You know what? Man, this is tough, man. There's not a lot of good games this week. I'm going to go my game of the week. It's going to have to be the Browns and the Ravens, because I think that is going to make a little dent, right? Because the Browns are 5-3 and the Ravens are 7-2. But if the Ravens lose that game, they're only one game out from catching up with them. So, and it's amazing because the Browns have been having quarterback problems, and PJ come in and he's kind of putting these kind of like performance together that don't look like they should be wins.
Right.
Yeah. From a historical standpoint, people cannot forget the Browns and the Ravens hate each other because they used to be the exact same team. Both of those teams were originally the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
So we're going to see what's going to come out with that. I got the game of the week, San Francisco and Jacksonville. I'm looking forward to finally getting the golden boy out there against the Bosas and some of them dogs and see how good of a quarterback he is, because I'm talking about Lawrence. They've kind of anointed him as the next greatest quarterback. And I watch him play, and I just don't see it. I think he's decent, but I don't get it yet. So I want to see what he's going to do against the 49ers in that defense. They hit people in the mouth. I like them.
You got a game of the week, guy?
That was my game of the week, but I'm going to change just for sake.
You still have the same game. It's okay.
I could, man, but see, I ain't as pretty as you, man. So I got to go with something different. I'm going to go with Washington and Seattle. And the reason why, I want to see if Seattle is really about that life. And I want to see if Washington is really ready to kind of say, hey, we ain't doing all that great, but let's just upset some guys at their crib.
Yeah, that's a team that I think Washington is a team that may be tanking. I think Rivera is going to be looking for a job at the end of the season.
We'll take
you got rid of both of your defensive ends. What's that? Right?
He can coach us.
I said we'll take him. Come on.
Yeah. I definitely would bring him in as a defensive coordinator. I don't know if I bring him in as an offensive coach now, because he really never had much success at Washington. And maybe some of his better years just maybe behind him a little bit. I don't know, but I definitely would take him as a defensive coach. But I think and that's why I was kind of against Eric Bieniemy going there, because with new ownership, and I kind of thought Rivera was on the hop. I mean, I know ain't nothing happened, but I was just like, when Eric Bieniemy went down, so man, that may not be a good decision unless you a coach in the waiting. I said, because Rivera may not make it to another season.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's an interesting thing though. With like everybody's talking about Harbaugh, the only thing about Harbaugh is this: the only reason why I would want him to come here, because he ain't scared to go from top to bottom and tell somebody in their face you suck. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only reason.
It's not scared versus wants to. Harbaugh wants to get in people's face and tell them you suck and challenge him out to a fight in the middle of the parking lot.
Oh, but he gonna lose that fight every time.
He is, but he want to do it just to show that he's tough and He hard nosed and all of that.
But if he get beat up, he just gonna say, "That's all right. We gonna deal with it later." He gonna run straight up to McCaskey. They hit me in my mouth. Can we get rid of him? But I do like, man. I would love to have. Oh my God! And we just said his name.
Harbaugh.
No, not Harbaugh, but
Rivera.
Yeah, Rivera. I would like to have Rivera either come in as a defensive coach or even come in as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah, I like Harbaugh. I like Harbaugh as well.
Yeah,
he's won everywhere he's been. I mean, Harbaugh is a good coach. I mean, I know some people. I saw somebody said he was job hopping. What are you talking about? He's worked 2 jobs in like 12 years.
It's been Michigan and the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
So, and look what he did with the 49ers.
Hey, and he's at least as good as his older brother, man. The Harbaughs come from a family of head coaches.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I just dressed the last rumors before we wrap up. I've been seeing rumors circulating around about Bill Belichick maybe on his way out. I'm not sure because I thought he signed a contract a few weeks ago.
He still might be on his way out. He kind of been sucking, but you're not sucking when you get rid of Tom Brady. So all of those years, everybody thought it was Belichick, and Brady took his running ways with him.
Right.
I need my church working on that.
And you know what? And Bill Belichick, the GM, should have been fired about 7 years ago.
I agree.
So that's been a part of the problem too, right? So you have been riding on Tom Brady's success, but you've been drafting bad for a long time, right?
Horrible.
He's been drafted real horrible. And then right now, some of the decisions he started last year are kind of weird, where was nobody that was actually the offensive coordinator. It was just different people calling plays. It's kind of different, but so I don't know. They may end up having to move out. That doesn't mean he's not a great coach or Hall of Fame coach. It just may be his time to come. But
he outsmarted himself though,
But it's intangibles.
Yeah. But hey, I'm with Eberflus any day though.
Oh yeah.
Take.
I tell you what, though, if he hadn't had that problem with Brady and let Brady stay them 2 years, they probably would have had 1 or 2 more Super Bowls. Because with both, people are just starting to realize with him going through what he's going through now, it's not about saying he's a bad coach, but it just basically shows how great Brady was.
Yeah. Guy, and I always say this is people a lot of times underestimate or devalue great individual players. And then they'll say, if you took this guy and put him here, he would have probably won just as many. No, that's not always true, because it's the effect that sometimes great players have on players around them. Mm-hmm. And you could take, for example, I'm sorry, I hope I don't belabor this point. You mentioned Steve Kerr earlier. Think about, would you have ever known Steve Kerr's name if he had never played with Michael Jordan?
Nope.
No.
Well, the only thing you would have known was that his dad got killed and he was an instructor in Lebanon. That's all you would know.
Right. But if you think about it, his skill set didn't change. He was the same player that he was when he came. But it was a difference of you playing with a great player, and that little thing that you do, it becomes so highlighted that it makes a difference. And then all us, man, we've been in situations where we was a great player, or another person a great player. Man, that stuff is contagious, man.
Right.
You have somebody who's a great leader, and then they believe you could do something. It gives more confidence to everybody around. So Tom, in that aspect, you can't really just say if you put somebody else here, or if you put him there, or if you put Peyton Manning there, you can't really say that you don't know,
right?
Because they all great players at where they was at. But get a man's his kudos.
How about this? Y'all play football, y'all playing a bad game the whole game. Coach, like, you know what? Get this guy, put this other guy in, and that one guy make a play that's just so amazing that all of y'all just so hyped, and the total complexity of how y'all play completely changes.
I'm going to tell you something about Tom Brady. Tom Brady was such a great football player that I hated him the whole time he was in New England. Couldn't stand him. Cheered against him. As soon as he went to Tampa Bay, I found myself cheering for this guy, and he didn't let me down. I was like, That's what everybody been cheering for all this time. So, he changed my mind. So yeah, I take it.
I didn't hate him. I hated his fans because I knew as soon as he left, every last one was going to burn their Patriots uniforms and become Tampa Bay fans. Now they looking for, I guess, everybody who was a Tom Brady fan, that instead of liking a player, they switch teams. They all Kansas City Chiefs fans now.
Hey, Tom Brady ain't married no more. He can come back and play again. Come on, you can be the Bears quarterback.
I'd like to thank everybody who's tuning in tonight to Bears Banner. We appreciate you tuning in and share this broadcast with other people. Hey, Bears Banner to me is one of the best pregame and postgame shows out there. So, hey, let's move on to the prediction on what everybody tuned in tonight for. Mm-hmm. So, we got Bears versus Panthers tomorrow night. Anybody ready? I know I go first. I know sometimes I don't go first. I have the Bears 21, and I have the Panthers 13.
Wow.
My man. Okay.
Well, I can't say go next. Word. I had the Bears 25 and Carolina 14.
Okay.
So I got the Bears to win. So
24-17, the Bears.
Wow.
Well, okay.
This might be the first time we done all decided the Bears are going to win, because they have been sucking rather consistently. My record for the year is 2-7, which strangely enough coincides with the Bears record. So I'm a homer. What do you want?
I don't even take – I just like, you know what? I lost so many times. I forgot. I just know I won at least one game.
Now, you won more than us, guy. I'm 2 – it is weird because I'm 2-7, but the 2 games I picked were not the victories. Ironically, I picked 2 of the losses and got those right. So it would look like I'm a homer, but actually – like I picked them to lose last week, right? So they didn't win last week. That was my second victory last week against the Saints. So I haven't been no good at this year at all. So I got them. Bears won at 21-13. Plain got the Bears winning 25-14. Guy has the Bears winning 24-17. I don't have Jay in quick scores. Y'all got anything else going on?
Be safe out there, folks. Keep your head on the swivel. I've seen some people getting carjacked, hearing about carjackings, not just on the streets, but in some pretty nice neighborhoods, man. So just keep your heads on the swivel. Just look around, check your surroundings. If something don't look right, wherever you got to go, if you don't make it, it is what it is. At least you get to make it out in one piece.
Yeah, public service announcement. If you don't know, it should take you between 3 and 5 seconds from getting in your car to start the car and drive away. Don't waste a lot of time just fidgeting or whatever. You have to go outside with a purpose, because you never know. A lot of times people are paying attention to you, and most crimes are crimes of opportunity.
I got to text my boy. He ain't on nothing anyway. Just do it later.
Yeah. Hey, before we close out playing, can you give us a brief of what's the history behind the shirt you got on?
Yeah, this is my karate school. I named it Final Conflict Karate after me pledging Omega Psi Phi, Western Illinois University in 1984. It was 13 of us, and we were kind of combative against the big brothers. So the brothers decided to name our line Final Conflict, because they didn't want any more issues between the Lamps and the brothers. And I ended up naming my karate school the same thing. I now have a student that's actually taken over the school, and he's actually teaches in Los Angeles, California. He does a lot of choreography and things of that nature for films. And, I got the symbol of the sword is for honor. The bow staff is for support. And the nunchuck is for speed and power. And this is the last time we're going to have any issue. That's what I say the Final Conflict is. So thanks for letting me make commentary about that, Bernard.
Okay, great, awesome. Hey, and best luck to him as he, do training for choreograph film, and also maybe some of that stuff.
Calvert Miles, as a matter of fact, Calvert Miles. He's up and he's made a couple movies that are available on Amazon Prime. So he's really good. Really good
man,
guy.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.
Bye.